17 container perennials that survive anything, even your worst neglect. You know those gorgeous container gardens you see at garden centers and fancy homes? The ones overflowing with color that seem to thrive month after month. Most people think maintaining something like that requires daily attention, expensive fertilizers, and some kind of supernatural green thumb ability. Wrong. I'm William Scott, and I've spent over 30 decades figuring out exactly which plants laugh in the face of neglect. These 17 perennials will transform your pots and planters into stunning displays that come back stronger every single year, whether you remember to water them or not. Here's the truth nobody in the gardening industry wants you to know. The most spectacular gardens are usually the easiest to maintain. You just need to know which plants to choose. Before I reveal these game-changing varieties, do something for me. Take 2 seconds right now and hit that subscribe button for Golden Age Gardening. Tap that notification bell too, because we're releasing proven gardening strategies every single week that make outdoor spaces beautiful without exhausting you in the process. Actually, pause for a second and drop a comment telling me the last plant you managed to kill. Seriously, tell me what happened. Spider plant? Cactus? Something the store promised was impossible to kill? Share your story because I guarantee by the time you finish watching this, you'll never repeat those mistakes again. The perennials I'm about to show you have survived everything I've thrown at them. Forgotten waterings, blazing heat waves, bitter winters, poor soil, zero fertilizer, and complete indifference for weeks at a time. They're still thriving in my containers today. Wait until you hear about variety number 12. This plant actually becomes more beautiful the more you ignore it. Overwatering makes it look terrible, but neglect transforms it into something spectacular. Let's jump into the drought survivors first. These 5 champions will completely change how you think about container gardening. The ultimate drought warriors. Number 1, sedum, also known as live forever. This name tells you everything you need to know. Sedum varieties are succulent perennials that store water in their thick, fleshy leaves like miniature reservoirs. Each leaf functions as its own water tank, holding moisture reserves for weeks. Here's something that shocked me when I first started working with sedums. I've documented these plants going 75 days without a single drop of water. That's over 2 months of complete drought, and they bounce back healthier than before. Try that with your average annual and see what happens. The variety selection is incredible. Autumn Joy develops stunning pink flower clusters as temperatures cool. Dragon's Blood carpets your container in vibrant red foliage. Matrona stands tall with pink blooms and sturdy stems. The multiplication factor is where sedums really shine. One plant naturally produces offsets that become full plants. Your single purchase becomes a collection within a couple of seasons. You'll end up with extras to fill more containers or gift to friends and neighbors. Here's something most gardening guides don't mention. Sedums actually produce more vibrant colors when you underwater them slightly. The plants respond to stress by intensifying their pigments. It's like they're rewarding your forgetfulness with better appearance. During peak summer, I water my sedums maybe once every 3 weeks. Sometimes I stretch it to a month. They never complain, never wilt, never look sad. They just keep growing. If you're someone who travels frequently, works long hours, or simply doesn't want gardening to become another daily chore, sedums are your answer. Plant them, water them initially to help roots establish, then basically forget they exist. Before we continue, take a second to hit that like button if you're already learning something valuable. It genuinely helps Golden Age Gardening reach more people who need these strategies. Plus, it tells me you want more content exactly like this. Number 2, lavender. Most people know lavender smells amazing and looks gorgeous with those purple flower spikes. What they don't realize is that lavender is essentially indestructible in containers if you understand one critical factor. Here's the secret most gardeners get completely backwards. Lavender evolved in the rocky, dry hillsides of Mediterranean regions. Poor drainage kills it faster than anything else. Rich, moisture-retaining soil is lavender's enemy. Containers solve this problem perfectly. You control the drainage completely. Mix in extra perlite or coarse sand. Use pots with multiple drainage holes, and lavender becomes nearly bulletproof. I plant lavender varieties in spring, water thoroughly for about 4 weeks while roots establish, then ignore them except during extreme heat. The result? Months of continuous purple blooms that fill the air with fragrance and attract every pollinator in the neighborhood. English lavender is the hardiest variety, surviving harsh winters down to zone 5 and returning bigger each season. French lavender has those distinctive rabbit ear petals on top of each flower spike. Spanish lavender blooms almost continuously from spring through fall. Here's a counterintuitive tip that confuses beginners. Never fertilize lavender. Rich nutrients make it grow soft, weak, and less aromatic. Poor, lean conditions make it tough, fragrant, and resilient. Lavender is one of the rare plants that actually prefers being a little hungry and thirsty. In containers, lavender handles neglect better than pampering. Forget to water for 2 weeks? It's fine. Skip fertilizer entirely? Even better. Ignore it during a busy month? It'll reward you with stronger growth. The aromatic oils in lavender intensify when the plant experiences slight stress, which means your benign neglect actually improves fragrance quality. Dedicated gardeners who fuss over their lavender often end up with inferior scent compared to lazy gardeners who barely touch theirs.
Number 3. Russian sage. Russian sage is what I call a professional landscaper's secret weapon. This plant adds instant sophistication to any container arrangement, with its silvery white stems, delicate blue-purple flowers, and airy texture that makes everything around it look more intentional. Once Russian sage establishes roots in a container, you could literally disappear for a month and return to find it more beautiful than when you left. The plant thrives on neglect in ways that seem almost impossible. Size-wise, Russian sage grows roughly 3 feet in both height and width, making it perfect for large containers or as a background element in mixed plantings. The blooms appear from midsummer and continue through fall, and even after flowering finishes, the silvery architectural structure provides winter interest. I've never observed pest problems on Russian sage. 0 insect damage despite years of observation. Deer completely avoid it. The plant actually becomes tougher and more vibrant during hot, dry weather that stresses other perennials. Maintenance requirements are minimal. 1 hard cutback in late winter is all it needs. I chop mine down to about 6 inches in February or March, and it comes roaring back with fresh growth. That's literally the only work this plant requires all year. Russian sage combines 3 qualities that lazy gardeners dream about: drought tolerance, deer resistance, and virtually pest-free growth. If you're looking for maximum visual impact with minimum effort, this is your plant. Share this video with someone who claims they're terrible at container gardening. Seriously, hit that share button because Russian sage alone could transform their entire approach. Number 4. Hens and chicks, semper vivum. Hens and chicks are the gift that keeps giving. They literally reproduce without any assistance from you. 1 container becomes 3, then 5, then you're handing out plants to everyone you know. These incredible succulents form perfect rosettes that resemble living roses crafted from jade. The hen is the mother plant, and the chicks are baby plants that emerge around the edges. Every single chick can be separated and planted independently, creating an endless supply. The variety range is stunning. Some are bright lime green, others are deep burgundy red. Some have fuzzy textures that beg to be touched. Others are smooth and waxy. Cobweb hens and chicks look like they're covered in delicate spider webs. Red Beauty turns burgundy in cool weather. Blue Boy has an incredible blue-gray coloration that stands out in any arrangement. Water requirements are almost non-existent once established. These plants are completely cold-hardy, surviving brutal winters. They thrive in shallow containers that would starve most perennials. I have hens and chicks in containers only 4 inches deep that have been flourishing for years. The propagation factor makes you the neighborhood plant hero without even trying. Visitors admire your containers, and you can hand them a few chicks to start their own collection. It costs you nothing and makes people's day. Hens and chicks evolved in alpine environments with extreme conditions: scorching sun, freezing nights, minimal water, and poor rocky soil. Your neglectful container environment is luxury compared to their natural habitat. Number 5. Catmint. Catmint is like catnip's sophisticated relative who went to college and majored in looking gorgeous. It produces clouds of blue-purple flowers from spring until frost, creating this hazy, romantic effect that butterflies absolutely love. The lazy gardener factor is simple. Cut it back once mid-season. Give the plant a buzz cut after the first major flush of blooms, then forget about it. It returns with even heavier flowering that continues until hard frost. Catmint forms perfect mounded shapes about 18 inches in both height and width, ideal proportions for container growing. The gray-green foliage is aromatic. When you brush against it, wonderful herbal scent releases into the air. Unlike catnip, most cats ignore catmint, so you won't have neighborhood felines rolling around in your containers and crushing your plants. Walker's Low is the most popular variety, incredibly drought-tolerant once established. Six Hills Giant grows larger and more dramatic. Both varieties are virtually pest and disease-free. I've never seen aphid, spider mites, or any other problems on catmint in 30 years of growing it. The plant is like nature's perfect low-maintenance specimen. It handles heat, drought, poor soil, and neglect without missing a beat. The only attention it appreciates is that one mid-season trim, and even that's optional if you don't mind slightly less blooming later in the season. Take a second right now and comment with which drought-tolerant plant you're planning to try first. Sedum, lavender, Russian sage? Tell me in the comments section. Shade superstars that thrive on neglect. Most gardeners struggle with shady areas. They assume limited light means limited options. These 5 shade-loving perennials prove that assumption completely wrong. Number 6, hostas. Hostas are the lazy gardener's ultimate shade solution. Plant once, enjoy for decades. I have hostas in containers that are over 15 years old, and they become more spectacular every single year. Here's something most people don't realize. Hostas are actually more beautiful in containers than in ground plantings because you control their conditions perfectly. In containers, you eliminate their 2 biggest enemies, slugs and poor drainage. The variety range is extraordinary. Some hostas have leaves as small as quarters, others have foliage bigger than dinner plates. Some in substance has enormous chartreuse leaves that glow in shade like they're lit from within. Blue Angel has huge blue-gray leaves with white flowers. Patriot has green leaves with crisp white edges that look hand-painted by an artist. Fragrant varieties like Fragrant Bouquet produce flowers that smell like gardenias, adding scent to shady areas that typically lack fragrance. The best part about container-grown hostas? Portability. Place them on your shady deck in summer, then move them to a protected spot for winter. They're completely cold-hardy, deer-resistant in most cases, and the only maintenance they require is cutting back flower stalks if you don't want seeds and dividing every few years to make more plants. One hosta becomes 3, then 6, then you're sharing with everyone who admires your containers. If you're getting value from this information, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button for Golden Age Gardening. We release strategies like this every single week, and you don't want to miss what's coming next.
Number 7. Coral bells, Euchera. Coral bells provide year-round color without depending on flowers. Purple, silver, lime green, orange, burgundy. It's like having a living rainbow that thrives on neglect. These incredible perennials have revolutionized shade gardening because they deliver constant color from foliage alone. Flowers are just a bonus. Palace Purple has deep burgundy leaves that appear almost black in certain light. Lime Ricky glows chartreuse even in deep shade. Silver Scrolls looks like someone hand-painted silver patterns on purple leaves. Fire Chief changes from red to orange to burgundy throughout the seasons. The flowers are delicate spikes that dance above the foliage in early summer, but even without blooms, Euchera puts on a show all season long. They're evergreen in mild climates, providing color even in winter. In containers, they're absolutely perfect because they don't spread aggressively like they sometimes do in ground plantings. They form neat, compact clumps that look sophisticated and intentional. I water mine maybe once weekly in summer, never fertilize them, and they reward me with constant beauty. They're also incredibly long-lived. I have some entering their 8th year with no signs of decline. Number 8. Astilbe. This plant shocks everyone. Astilbe produces incredible feathery flowers that look high maintenance, but are actually bulletproof in shade containers. When people see astilbe blooming, they assume it must be difficult to grow because the flowers are so spectacular. The truth? Once established, astilbes are nearly indestructible in shade. These perennials produce plumes of flowers in white, pink, red, purple, and peach that look like colorful feathers dancing above fern-like foliage. Bridal Veil has pure white plumes that glow in shade. Fanal has deep red flowers with dark foliage. Deutschland blooms early with pristine white flowers. The blooming season lasts for weeks, and even after flowers fade, the foliage remains attractive all season. In containers, astilbes are happy with morning sun or bright shade, and they actually prefer consistent moisture, which is easy to provide in containers. They're completely cold-hardy, deer-resistant, and divide naturally every few years to give you more plants. The spent flower plumes can be left on for winter interest or cut back for a tidier appearance. Either approach works. They return reliably every spring with more flowers. Comment feathers if you've never seen astilbe blooms before. Seriously, these flowers are like nature's art project. Number 9. Japanese painted fern. This fern looks so exotic, people assume you hired a professional landscaper. Reality? Water occasionally? Ignore completely. Japanese painted fern is hands down the most beautiful fern you can grow, and it's ridiculously easy in containers. The fronds are silver gray with purple stems and green edges. It looks like someone painted each leaf with metallic paint. Burgundy lace has more purple tones. Silver Falls cascades beautifully from containers. Ghost is almost pure silver. These ferns are completely different from boring green ferns most people picture. They light up shady corners like living sculptures. In containers, they're perfect because they stay compact and well-behaved, never invasive, never need dividing, and they're incredibly drought-tolerant once established. I water mine when I remember, which isn't often, and they always look perfect. They die back in winter but return reliably in spring with fresh, colorful fronds. They're also deer-proof, slug-resistant, and virtually pest-free. Number 10. Virginia. Virginia is the ultimate set-it-and-forget-it plant. Glossy leaves year-round, early spring flowers, and it actually prefers being slightly ignored. Virginia has incredibly thick, glossy leaves that look almost tropical, but it's completely cold-hardy. The leaves are huge, sometimes 8 inches across, and they form perfect rosettes. In spring, clusters of pink or white flowers appear on tall stems before most other plants wake up. Winter Glow has leaves that turn burgundy red in cold weather. Baby Doll is more compact for smaller containers. The best part about Virginia? It's evergreen, providing year-round structure and interest from your containers. It tolerates deep shade, drought, poor soil, and complete neglect. I planted some Virginia 5 years ago, watered it initially, and have basically ignored it since. It's never looked better. The thick, waxy leaves shed water and resist damage from wind and weather. It's like having a permanent living sculpture in your shade containers. Hit that like button if these shade plants are solving problems for you. It really helps Golden Age gardening grow.
Colorful showstoppers that demand attention. These 5 perennials prove that spectacular gardens are often the easiest to maintain. Number 11. Black-Eyed Susan, or Rudbeckia. Black-Eyed Susan is like sunshine in a pot that keeps blooming no matter what you throw at it. Drought, heat, neglect, it just keeps going. This cheerful perennial produces golden yellow flowers with dark centers from midsummer through fall. And I mean masses of flowers. One mature plant can have over 100 blooms simultaneously. Goldsturm is the classic variety that's won awards for good reason. It's incredibly reliable and long blooming. Cherokee Sunset has semi-double flowers that look almost like little suns. Prairie Sun has yellow petals with green centers instead of dark ones. The best part about Black-Eyed Susans in containers, they're self-seeding, so you get volunteer seedlings that you can pot up or share with friends. They're also incredible wildlife magnets. Butterflies, bees, and goldfinches all flock to these flowers. In late fall, I leave seed heads on because they provide food for birds through winter. The plants themselves are completely cold hardy and actually perform better in their second and third years than they do as new plantings. I water mine maybe once weekly in the hottest weather, never fertilize them, and they reward me with constant color. They're also completely deer and rabbit resistant. Number 12, lamb's ear. Here's the plant I promise would shock you. Lamb's ear gets more silvery and beautiful the more you neglect it. Overwatering actually makes it look worse. Most people can't believe this when they first hear it, but lamb's ear originates from rocky, dry regions where it evolved to handle extreme conditions. Those incredibly soft, fuzzy leaves that feel exactly like a lamb's ear aren't just for show. They're covered in tiny hairs that reflect sunlight and conserve moisture. When you overwater lamb's ear, the leaves get soft and prone to rot. When you underwater it, the leaves become more silver, more fuzzy, and more beautiful. It's like the plant rewards your neglect. Big ears has enormous leaves that are incredibly dramatic. Helen von Stein rarely flowers, so all the plant's energy goes into producing those stunning silver leaves. Cotton ball has flowers that look like cotton balls. In containers, lamb's ear is absolutely perfect because you control drainage perfectly. I plant them in spring, water them well in the first month, then basically ignore them except during extreme drought. The result? Plants that look like living silver sculptures that get more beautiful every year. They're also deer-proof, drought-tolerant, and spread slowly to fill their containers without becoming invasive. Comment "shocking" if this just blew your mind. I love seeing reactions when people learn that neglect makes plants more beautiful. Share this video if you know someone who needs to hear about lamb's ear. Hit that share button right now. Number 13, daylilies. Daylilies are the workhorse of lazy gardening. Each bloom lasts one day, but each plant produces dozens and dozens of buds, so it's like having a flower subscription service that never ends. I have daylilies that bloom continuously from June through September, with new flowers opening every single day. The variety selection is incredible. They come in every color except true blue and pure white. Stella d'Oro is the classic yellow that blooms all season. Purple d'Oro is the purple version, equally reliable. Happy Returns is pale yellow and blooms from spring to frost. Pardon Me has red flowers with yellow throats. Some varieties are fragrant, some bloom at night. Some have double flowers, and some have flowers as big as dinner plates. In containers, daylilies are incredibly easy because they're so adaptable. They'll take full sun or partial shade, wet conditions or dry conditions, rich soil or poor soil. Once established, I water mine maybe twice weekly in summer and never fertilize them. They multiply naturally, so every few years you can divide them and have more plants to fill more containers or share with friends. They're also completely cold hardy, deer resistant, and virtually pest free. The only maintenance is deadheading spent flowers if you want continuous blooming, but even that's optional. They return reliably every spring with more flowers. Number 14, ornamental grasses. Ornamental grasses add movement and texture with zero maintenance. Plant them, water them initially, then pretend they don't exist. They'll reward you with year-round beauty. Grasses bring something to container gardens that no other plants can: movement and sound. When wind blows through them, they create wonderful rustling sounds and gentle movement that makes your whole garden feel alive. Carl Forster feather-reed grass stands tall and narrow with wheat-colored plumes. Morning light miscanth has narrow leaves with white edges and pink plumes in fall. Hameln fountain grass has fuzzy bottlebrush flowers that kids love to touch. Blue fescue forms perfect little bluish-gray mounds that look good year-round. The beauty of grasses in containers is that they provide structure and interest through all 4 seasons. In spring, they emerge fresh and green. In summer, they develop their characteristic forms. In fall, many change to gorgeous colors: gold, orange, burgundy. In winter, they provide structure when everything else has died back. I cut mine in late winter, but some people prefer leaving them standing all winter for architectural interest. Either way, they return reliably every spring with more better. Number 15, coneflower or echinacea. Coneflowers are the triple threat: gorgeous blooms, attract birds when they go to seed, and they multiply naturally. 3 benefits from one lazy planting. Coneflowers have become
Coneflowers have become incredibly popular in recent years because plant breeders have developed amazing new varieties and colors that didn't exist when I started gardening. The classic Magnus purple is still gorgeous and reliable, but now we have white swan, orange meadow bright, pink double delight, green jewel, and even hot papaya that's bright orange red. The flowers bloom for months if you deadhead them. But here's the cool part. If you stop deadheading in late summer, the seed heads that form are absolutely gorgeous and provide food for goldfinches and other birds through fall and winter. In containers, coneflowers are perfect because they're drought-tolerant once established. They don't need fertilizer and actually perform better in slightly lean conditions. Rich soil makes them grow too tall and floppy. They self-seed readily, so you don't get volunteer seedlings that might be different colors than the parents. They're also incredibly long-lived. I have some that are going on 10 years with no signs of slowing down. They're deer-resistant, drought-tolerant, and virtually maintenance-free once established. If you haven't already, subscribe to Golden Age Gardening right now. We're releasing proven strategies every week that make gardening easier and more successful. Year-round container champions. Most gardeners think container gardening is only about spring and summer. These final two perennials prove that wrong. They'll make your containers look professionally designed even in winter when neighbors' gardens look barren. Number 16, hellebore. Hellebores bloom in winter when everything else is dormant. Talk about low maintenance, they literally bloom when you can't even get outside to fuss with them. This is the most magical plant in any lazy gardener's collection because it produces gorgeous flowers right through snow and ice. Hellebores are also called Christmas rose or Lenten rose, depending on when they bloom. Flowers come in white, pink, purple, burgundy, yellow, and even spotted varieties. Ice and Roses series blooms from December through April. Wedding Party has pure white flowers that glow against winter backgrounds. Red Lady produces deep burgundy flowers that are almost black. The flowers last for actual months. A single bloom can stay beautiful from December through March. The evergreen foliage provides structure year-round with thick, glossy, deeply divided leaves. In containers, they're perfect because they prefer excellent drainage. They hate wet feet in winter, but containers solve that problem perfectly. I plant them in fall, water them well, then ignore them until spring. They're deer-proof, rabbit-proof, slug-resistant, and incredibly long-lived. I have some that are over 12 years old and still producing more flowers every year. Number 17, evergreen sedums. Our final category is evergreen sedums that look architectural in winter. They're like living sculptures that require absolutely nothing from you. While most sedums die back in winter, evergreen varieties keep their structure and become even more beautiful in cold weather. Autumn Fire forms perfect mounds that turn burgundy red in cold weather. Matrona has thick stems that stand through snow and ice. Blackjack has dark purple foliage that becomes almost black in winter. These plants provide four-season performance: spring rosettes, summer flowers that attract butterflies, fall seed heads that feed birds, and winter architectural structure. They're completely drought-tolerant once established. I have some in containers that haven't been watered in years, and they look better than pampered plants. They're deer-resistant, rabbit-proof, and never need dividing. They actually prefer neglect and get more beautiful when you leave them alone. They're living proof that the most beautiful gardens are often the ones we interfere with least.
3 secrets for container success. Before we wrap up, I want to share 3 critical secrets that will make every single one of these plants thrive in your containers. These are the lazy gardener shortcuts that most people learn the hard way after years of trial and error. I'm going to save you all that heartache right now. Secret number 1. Drainage is everything. The number 1 killer of container plants isn't drought, it's soggy roots. More plants die from overwatering than underwatering. Every container must have real drainage holes. I drill at least 3 half-inch holes in 5 or 6 for large containers. Put a layer of broken pottery or gravel in the bottom to create airspace. Good drainage means water moves through soil at the right speed. Test it. Water should soak in within 10 to 15 seconds, but you should still see moisture 2 inches down an hour later. My golden rule? When in doubt, wait another day before watering. Plants forgive late watering, but never forgive drowning. Secret number 2. Size matters more than you think. Small containers are plant torture chambers. They dry out too fast and freeze solid in winter. I never use containers smaller than 16 inches across for perennials. Here's the math. A plant in a 12-inch container needs daily watering in summer. The same plant in a 24-inch container needs water twice weekly. Yes, bigger containers cost more upfront, but you get plants that thrive instead of survive, professional appearance, and way less work. I'd rather have 3 large, gorgeous containers than 10 small ones that constantly need attention. Secret number 3. The set and forget soil mix. Never use garden soil in containers, too heavy and poor drainage. Never use cheap potting soil, mostly bark that holds too much water. My perfect recipe: quality potting mix, add 1/3 perlite for drainage, mix in 10% compost for nutrition. This mix drains well but holds moisture, and it's lightweight. I make a huge batch annually and store it in covered bins. Buy ingredients in bulk, much cheaper than bags of premium mix. Pro tip: you rarely need to replace soil completely. Each spring, scrape off top 2 inches, add fresh compost and slow-release fertilizer. Your action plan. Golden Age Gardening family, you now have 17 bulletproof perennials that will make you look like a gardening genius. But before you rush off to the garden center, here's what I need from you right now. First, hit that like button if this video solved your gardening struggles. Every like tells YouTube this content is valuable and helps us reach more people struggling with high-maintenance gardens. Second, if you're not already subscribed to Golden Age Gardening, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, because we're dropping lazy gardening secrets every single week that will transform your outdoor spaces with minimal effort. Third, I want to see your plant choices. Comment below with which 3 plants from today's list you're going to try first. Are you team drought-tolerant with sedum and lavender, or are you going for shade drama with hostas and astilbe? Let me know in the comments. And here's something special. If you found this helpful, share this video with that friend or family member who always claims they have a black thumb. Trust me, after they see these 17 plants, they'll realize that successful gardening isn't about having magic hands. It's about choosing the right plants from the start. I'm William Scott, and I'll see you in the next Golden Age Gardening video, where we're covering the biggest mistakes that kill plants and exactly how to avoid them. You won't want to miss it. Until then, get out there and start planting. Your containers are about to become the envy of your entire neighborhood with minimal effort on your part.